Every day, I wake up just furious that I'm still shackled to this flesh prison. 20 years ago, I went from being a peacefully amorphous ball of light / tangled fog of pulsating yearning to this. Suddenly, I can be noticed and studied and judged by others, which is even that I can perceive myself is deeply upsetting because I've always felt like the me I see and the me I am in my head don't align, and it's like I don't even know what's wrong, I just know it isn't right. It bothers me that I can do something and based on what I do, people can create assumptions about me, and it's human nature and human evolution to assume, but it bothers me. Sometimes what can develop is this dissonance between our values, who we are on paper, and who we are actively being. And I think this is partially the cause of this observational discomfort. If you define yourself as someone who likes, bird watching, and you say it's your favorite thing, and you like that people know you as, that guy who really likes birds, but you actually spend most of your time watching Netflix and scrolling through memes on Reddit, then there is a misalignment between you and you. I believe social media and our addiction to instant gratification is a big cause of that. Basically, like, we want to be what do you call someone who studies birds? A birdologist? We want to be an ornithologist because we love to watch birds and read about them, and being able to do that for a living would bring us immense joy. So for that, we have to take science classes in high school and get really good marks, and then apply to university and hopefully get accepted. And then we have to take out loans and get a part-time job, and our first year will probably have a bunch of general education courses like geology and psychology, and you're not really that interested in them. You just want to study bird science, but you have to take them and get good grades, and it becomes exhausting because it's uncomfortable doing something you don't want to do, and you're tired all the time, and you're worried about money all the time. And instead of doing your geology homework, which will eventually let you become an ornithologist for some reason, you refresh your Instagram, which gives you a little burst of happy endorphins for considerably less work than homework does, because our brains are efficient and they want the good things for the least amount of effort because that makes sense. And the problem with our goals in the 21st century is that there are too many steps from point A to point B, and these steps often have nothing to do with the goal itself. And one day you bump into a friend and tell them that you love bird watching, and they say, "That's weird. I've never heard you talk about birds." And you realize you can't remember the last time you looked at a real bird, and you suddenly feel this rift where all your happiness has been falling into. So how do you fix this? How do you make the two versions of yourself line up into a single you? It's hard because it's not really entirely your fault. Social media is designed to be addictive, and the school system and the capitalist society we live in are also deeply flawed. You also have to come to terms with the fact that you might have changed. Maybe you just don't like birds as much as you thought you did. Maybe you'd love to be a wildlife photographer instead, or pursue a casual study of one specific type of bird. Allowing yourself to stray from this version of you that you've committed to so heavily makes it easier to get back into the hobbies you used to enjoy. For example, since I was little, I've loved books. I devoured books. I defined myself by my love of reading. Then I grew up a little, and I got a little depressed, and I stopped reading altogether. Then I got not depressed, but I still couldn't enjoy books the way I had before. I felt like a fraud. I felt like I no longer knew who I was. I was still telling people that my favorite hobby was reading, but practically, that wasn't true anymore. Until I picked up a book that wasn't fiction. Previously, the majority of what I'd read were sci-fi thrillers, and now I found myself gravitating towards poetry and memoir and historical fiction and creative nonfiction. And I could read again. Even now, I don't read exactly like I used to, but I write a lot more, and I have found a new way of lining up the edges of my two selves until they just feel like one whole me. Closing this rift requires compromise and compassion for yourself. It's accepting that you are a fluid being, and every new moment you are a different version of yourself than you were previously. Thanks for watching.